Well, good morning, everybody. This is Amma. This is your sister Amma. It's really good to get to speak to you today about this topic. So, as you can see, it's the anniversary, the third anniversary of my dad's passing this week. And when anniversaries like that come up, you become quite philosophical, which is what I've been this week. I made an earlier video on parents, absentee fathers, and I was asking you not to be absent during the coronavirus quarantine episode. But I think that video needs to go beyond just the quarantine because I got lots of questions from people asking me who an absentee father is and why it's a problem if somebody is an absentee father. And that's the reason why I have chosen to have this video with you today. I'm going to explain the impacts of a father. And hopefully, when we finish this video, everybody will be clearer of who an absentee is. And those of you who've become absentees without your knowledge can do something about it. Once you know what you are, who you are, and you know the attributes of the phenomenon you've become, if you don't like the attributes, then it is your chance to change things, to make things different. So this video is in memory of Dr. S.A. Manson, my father, my legend, my hero. I explain to a lot of people on all my videos why he is my legend, my hero. But today, I just want you to find out from your own perspective if your children can describe you as their father, their legend, their hero. If your children can say that about you, then you are probably present in their lives. If your children can't say certain things about you, then you're probably not as present as you'd like. Then we need to look at what you can do to make sure you are more present, that you are more impactful, and you are more relevant in their lives. That's the purpose of this video, in fact. Oh, parenting matters indeed. I mean, a child's outcomes are all determined by the kind of parents you have. If your parents are fit for purpose, if your parents are exactly what you need, if your parents know your needs and they meet your needs, you become a child who thrives. The funny thing with parents is that that word is in plural, not just one. Obviously, sometimes for whatever reason, there's one parent, and that one parent has to cope and manage and do the best they can. But the ideal is two people co parenting, two people doing everything they can to meet the needs of a child. It is absolutely essential that each person in this parent scenario actually pulls their weight, that each person does everything they can. What a man can do, a woman can do, but some things are best done by particular people. And sometimes it's not even just the gender issue. Sometimes it is the fact that you need two hands and two people mucking in, two people doing everything they can so that nobody burns out, so that the child does not have to lack for no reason. It is really important that everybody understands that this is a job not for one person. This is a job which is difficult to do even as a couple, even as a pair, whether you live together or not. To dump all that on one person and ask one person to do it all, I take my hat off to every single parent because I am not a single parent. I live with my husband and the children, but I can tell you how much of a struggle it is when two of us are trying to muck in and do everything we can to do a good enough job with this parenting business. So I just wanted to get this out there. This is a job for two people, and sometimes two people doing it with the support of the community, other people, extended family also chipping in every now and again, society helping these two people as much as they can. That is the best thing to do to try and get children raised in the most enabling environment as possible. I want to be clear about that one. I want everybody to understand I am pro family, I am pro children, and I am looking at this video from the interest of from the child. So please do hear me. Today's video is on absentee fathers. I want to talk about the different types of absentee fathers. A lot of people know homes where the dad is physically not present, and most people recognize that as an absentee situation. But there are times when a father is simply there but not effective as a parent, doesn't do anything as a father. They are there, they eat, they just add to the numbers in the home, but don't really impact in any way. And there are some who are intentionally, emotionally absent. They just come, they sit, they eat, they play, they send the kids to do errands for them, but they don't do anything back. They don't, there are many men who don't even speak to their children. They don't speak to them. They have absolutely no interactions with these kids. It is sad, it is pathetic, it needs to change because, in fact, what this is creating is a problem for everybody's back. Emotionally, we need stimulation. Children need stimulation. Children need stimulation from both parents. They need to learn their morals from you. They need to learn a lot of your behaviors, and they would only learn those things if you actually do interact with them. So, yeah, I want people who are emotionally absent to also recognize they are just as bad as those who are physically absent. An absentee is an absentee. The method of absenteeism does not seem to matter much because either way, your children don't get the benefit of what you could bring to the table. They don't get the benefit of learning from you. They don't get the benefit of interacting with you, which is what is vital for these kids and their emotional and mental development. Growing up is difficult enough when you are not different from the people you are growing up with. Children pick up on differences anyway, differences in skin color, differences in height, in shape, differences in hair texture, and children are cruel that way when they find anything different. It is very difficult for children who grow up when other people have two parents. I mean, if you grow up in a community where single parenting is the norm, then it's not a big deal. It is actually these children who grow up in communities where most people live with mom and dad. No matter how rubbish mom or dad is, two of them exist in a space. And these are the norms of that society. And for children who have to grow up without a father, children who have an absentee father, do end up with a lot of psychological effects. This is well documented. This is not something Amma is making up. And if you ever do a simple survey of people who've lived without, they will tell you some of these things in practice. Male and female gender have differences. We have different ways of coping with things. We have different ways of managing things because, especially with things that are emotional, a female's response is very different from a male's response. When a woman raises a son on her own, or a man raises a daughter on his own, those are the occasions where you see some of these absentee effects a little bit more. So, I am mother to a 15-year-old. What is happening to this 15-year-old has never happened to me. I have a son who's 15. What's going on in his body has never happened to me. Yes, I've read some of them in books, but what you read from books is never the same as a lived experience. All right. What a dad would say to him about coping and managing, and dad says, I've been doing this since I was listening to my husband and my son this week. And my husband says to his son, I have been doing this for over 4 decades. And my son is like, okay, right, all right, okay. I would not be able to wing that with my son because I have not been doing it for 4 decades. This is how we do it, son. This is the norm for doing it. Myself and every man who's been given this lesson has been doing this, and I've been doing it for 4 decades. I can tell you on good authority. And the boy was just like, aha. Because he can hear authority. He can actually hear somebody who's lived it. It's a lived experience. It's not a hypothetical case. And it's really important in bringing kids up if you can actually make things personal. Again, one of the reasons why both people in place, each bringing their experiences so the child can draw on and develop, is important. It's making me a little bit emotional because I know friends, very close loved ones, who've lived. I grew up with people whose parents were absentees, and even I grew up for a short episode when my dad was in home. My dad was in exile. It was my mom and myself growing up. I knew my dad. We spoke to my dad a lot. We interacted with my dad. We went to meet my dad in the school holidays. But I can tell you how difficult it was when other children in my school kept asking where my father was. Where's my dad? Why is he not here? Why is and it was just me and my mom, and I constantly, the day my dad returned to the family scenario was one of the happiest days of my life. You should have seen me when I walked in into the living room and my dad was there. I cannot explain that feeling to you. And because of that, I know from personal experience, no matter how short that experience was, what it is like to grow up without a father. And there clearly are psychological effects. And that's one of the reasons why I appeal to fathers all the time. You had a relationship with their mom. The kid was not part of that relationship in the initial stages. It was you two who decided to have a relationship, and that relationship resulted in a child. But as long as that child is here, as long as that child has needs, you will have to put whatever happened to that relationship to one side and make sure that as a father, you are standing, you are physically present, you are emotionally present, you are definitely present in the teaching of values, moral values to your children, so that you are represented in what the kids pick up and take forward. Being an absentee is not an option. Choosing to distance yourself is certainly not an option. And definitely, withholding yourself emotionally is a crime in my book. This statement is very profound for me. If a man cannot father his own child, what is worse than that? So there are three types of absentees: the ones who are physically not present, the one who are present but their impact is not felt, and the one who has chosen to be emotionally distant and unavailable to the children. All these three types of men are absent from the lives of their children. They are detrimental by their choices to their children, and I need each to be aware of this fact so we can augment behavior accordingly. Father, head of the home, key decision maker, role model of your children. You are important. You make a critical difference to your child. You affect their psychological well being going forward all the days of their lives with your choices. Please, please let this be important to you. Rise up, arise, my brother, and be a man, the man you are called to be. Head of your home, decision maker extraordinaire, and teach your child the way they should go so that they don't depart from it when they grow. Thank you so much. I pray to God that what I've said here does rekindle in you a desire to interact with your kids, to find your kids if they are not physically present with you, and develop a relationship with them. The children remember people who are practically present in their lives. It's not just being a figurehead, it's not just being a representative dad. You have to be a living experience for this child. I pray that the Lord who helps with wisdom grants you enough to receive this message and to act on it accordingly so your children do not suffer because of your choices. Thanks for watching. My name remains Amma Manson. You can find me on Facebook and all social media handles with that name. You would also find me on the Transformations Inc. project, which is related with mindset augmentation, under which this project also falls. Thanks for watching and see you soon.